y'all, how's it going? Welcome back to another reading vlog. On this ThuREADsday, I am really excited about the book that I am about to show you guys. For the longest time, I have heard raves and raves and raves about Brandon Sanderson, but I have never read one of his books. So I wanted to try and see if everything they said about all of Brandon Sanderson's works was true. I was looking around at the store with my friend when we were at a bookstore, and I saw that this guy was like 10 bucks. Had Brandon Sanderson's name on it, so I just had to pick it up. I had zero idea what it was about. It's called Mistborn. All that I knew was that it was fantasy, and you guys all know how I feel about fantasies. If you don't know, I really love fantasies. I'm really into fantasies. Brandon Sanderson's books are notorious for being very long reads, and this one was one of the shorter reads that I could find. And it's also in a trilogy, which is nice because I think that trilogies, like 3 to 5 books, I feel like is the perfect amount for a series. I'm very excited to get started on it. I have no idea what it's about. Generally, I have a pretty good idea of what a book is going to be about, or the basics of the plot before I read it, so I'm really going into this one blind. I'm trying to go out of my comfort zone in that way. All right, let's get started. I may or may not have made a mistake, and it's a good mistake, but a mistake nonetheless. I generally am a lot more organized when giving my honest opinion about books. It was so good that I didn't even bother to give my overview of first impressions of the first chapter, the first 3 chapters, you know. I think I'm about a fourth of the way through. I'm done with part 1. It's really good. It says, brought to you by my dog, who ripped the back cover off. I can't even begin to explain how good part 1 was, but I know I need to. This is like kind of stressing me out of like what to say first because I have so many things to say. Okay, well, we can start off with the main character, Kelsier. I love him. He is so cheeky and he's so funny and he has the tragic backstory, but he's not like moody. Honestly, we need some more like cheeky boys. Not of like the broody, like morally gray, like I don't give my emotions to anybody except for this like one fairy girl. I don't know what that impression was, but I feel like that is a common genre that people love, is the moody guy that falls for the sweet girl. I think I might be falling for the cheeky guy. But actually, no, because I don't think I would ever want to be in a relationship with somebody like Kelsier. That would be too much for me. I want to be Kelsier. That's what I want. I want to be as clever, as cheeky, as badass as Kelsier. Like, the minute that his character was introduced, I loved him. How did he do that? How did Brandon, how did you do that? Brandon. This is teaching me so much about writing in ways that I did not realize before. Like, how can I make my characters likable, like right off the bat? It's really making me think as an author. Also, the character Vin, I also love her. Now, she's the broody, moody teenager that doesn't trust anybody, and Kelsier is like, even though people can betray you, the only way that you can work with people is to trust them. I love both of them. I love that they are both so different. I love that they complement each other really well. They're not in any sort of like a romance as far as I can tell. I think that Vin would be a little too young for that. So if that did happen, I would be disappointed. The dialogue, dynamite. It's so good. Like, I can picture it so well in my head, to the point that I am recommending this book to my husband that has a hard time visualizing on his own without explicit detail. And even though the detail is not overwhelming, it is enough where you can create a clear picture of what's going on. And also, like, the magic in it, genius, dynamite, incredible. I'm upset that Brandon Sanderson is as good as people said he was. I wanted it to be a lie. I genuinely wanted it to be a lie. I don't know why, but I wanted it to not be true. I wanted it to be overhyped. I wanted it to have like a cult following. Well, if it's a cult following, then sign me up. I love this book. Having such a good time reading it. I think I'm becoming a Brandon Sanderson fan. Did any of you like feel upset when this happened? Like, did any of you feel mad? Like, I'm angry of how good this is? Because I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the fury. I'm like, I want to be as good as Brandon Sanderson. That's top tier goals right there. But that's all that I can really say about it. It's part 1, so it's like a very beginning of it. I'm not gonna give away too many spoilers, but I do enjoy that there's a lot of heist portions of it. I'm planning the heist rather than just like a lot of adventuring killing. But don't get me wrong, adventuring killing, totally my game. It's kind of fun to throw in a heist in there. Heists are fun. Anyway, I was about to read more of it because I want to read more of it. And I realized I hadn't made an update about it, and I probably should before I get too carried away, before it's like halfway through the book and I'm trying to catch up on everything. But that's the basics of all you need to know. Already part 1, I would highly recommend it. I've been gushing about it for too long, so I'm gonna go and continue reading. Of course, the best time to read is on an airplane because there's not much else that you can do while you're in there. I was able to make it to the halfway point, so now I am in part 3 and I am pretty much exactly halfway through the book. In the eyes of Vin, one of the main characters, she's not very trusting of people, and for some reason, me as the reader is kind of like jumping into her shoes a little bit. I know how most books go, especially how most heists go, and I know that there's going to be a plot twist somewhere. I know that there's going to be somebody that they can't trust, that they shouldn't have trusted from the beginning, but seemed completely and utterly trustworthy in the text, and I'm trying to figure out what that is. There is one situation where Vin is very gravely injured and she is miraculously saved by one of the people that she's working with, and I'm still kind of trying to wrap my head around how he got there so fast. And there is a scene where Vin also asks him the same thing. He comes up with a pretty decent reason, but I still have my eye on him. There is a huge theme in the book about trust and betrayal. I feel like that's kind of one of the overarching themes of this book. Vin obviously doesn't trust anybody, and even though Kelsier has been betrayed by someone that he thought he could trust, he still is choosing to be trustworthy so that he can be happy. And Vin is choosing to not trust everybody in order to be protected, but during this time she is learning to trust other people. So I'm really interested to see where this goes. I am enjoying a lot of these side characters. He has a lot of them, but I feel like they are pretty well fleshed out, no matter how minor of a role they play in the book. Obviously, still a totally huge fan. I'm enjoying the character development that I am seeing through Vin, and also with Kelsier. Vin's is a little bit more intense. Kelsier's is little by little. This is one of the books where I feel like I can't actually guess the ending. I'm usually pretty good at guessing what exactly is going to happen, how it's all going to turn out. There are so many different ways that this could turn out that I am hesitating on guessing on anything. The only thing which is overarching is that I'm guessing is that someone in the group is going to betray them and ultimately is going to get them in trouble in the end, but they will get out of it. That's pretty much all I have for you guys. Spectacular, amazing, immaculate, nothing less from Brandon Sanderson. So I am about, I would say a little bit more than 3/4 of the way through. I know you can't really quite tell, but like that's how much I have left. There is a big theme throughout this book, which is trust. Trust in people, who you can trust, who you shouldn't trust. There are conflicting ideologies between many of the characters. And so I have a feeling that the main big bad guy is someone we already know. And I have a feeling I know who it is because he just ends up being in situations that are too convenient. Like he always just seems to be at the right place at the right time. But I also know that the author is trying to put us in another direction. He is trying to pin, being the main bad guy or the person who is going to betray the other as someone who would, it would be very easy to assume. If I know anything about good stories and good authors, is that it's usually not the person you most suspect, but it's also not the person that you least suspect. If I learned anything from Dwight Schrute, it is the person that you medium suspect. I have a medium suspicion, and I'm curious to see how this rolls out. Basically, everything has gone wrong. They lost everything that they had been building for the past several months, so I'm interested to see if I'm right, if I guessed it. That's how I am doing on the book so far. I just made it to part 4 of 5, and part 5 is teeny tiny, so my suspicion is that I will be able to hopefully get through this book by the end of the week. So this is part 4, which I just started, and this is part 5, so very, very small. Yeah, let's keep reading. I had made a goal of trying to finish up the book the weekend that I filmed last. It was a little bit of a high bar to set, but I decided to try and get it done before Thursday, which was usually when I post my ThuREADsday videos. And at first I thought it would be a really big feat, and I was like, okay, I can't beat myself too much if I don't finish it in time. Part 5 was so action-packed that I read it all in one night. It was so good. But now I'm really sad. I have not experienced this intense of a book hangover in a really, really long time. I feel like I haven't felt this way since high school. So I misjudged a lot of people, and I am wondering if that was the point. In fact, if anything, I was more surprised that more of the characters pulled through and were incredibly helpful, and there wasn't really any reason why I should have felt like they were going to end up betraying them in the end. There is an incredibly sad character death, but if I am being honest with myself, I saw it coming. I knew that it was probably going to happen, and I didn't want to believe that it was going to happen, but it did anyway. And you know what? I called it. I knew that it needed to happen. I know that some people have a little bit of a pet peeve of people killing off more important characters inside of the book. I'm not going to tell you who it is because obviously I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but I think that there is a right and wrong way to do it. In this case, where towards the end of the book there is a very important character death, it was necessary, unfortunately. I wish that it wasn't necessary, but it was. I finished the book way, way late last night, so I've been in kind of a bummer mood. But what is spectacular about this is that this book is a series. And I think that Brandon Sanderson did a very good job of basically the main problem and plot of the first book has been resolved. But as they were resolving this plot, they came to understand the bigger picture of why things were the way that they were. And there are still a lot of unanswered questions about that. So because of that, I actually am very much looking forward to reading the second book. My rating is 10 out of 10, and I do not give out that rating lightly. It was a really good book. It was incredible, very well thought out, very well planned, a lot of different plot twists and turns, and even though there wasn't as much betrayal as I thought there would be, there were still a lot of different plot twists, so still served its purpose in the end. I'm gonna go sulk for a while because I don't have the second book yet and I really want to read the second book already. That is all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for watching the video. Remember, if you want to see videos like this where you want me to do some more reading vlogs, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and comment below if you have ever read Mistborn, want to read Mistborn, or just love Brandon Sanderson. I would love to get some more suggestions for Brandon Sanderson's novels because now I get the hype. I completely get the hype. I am joining the cult. I loved this book. Sayonara, you guys, and I will see you next time.